Hello, welcome to another video by Moxie Marine. Today I'm tearing down a 5.7 liter engine. This General Motors engine. It's out of a Volvo Pinto boat, and this particular engine has it's been submerged in Lake Hartwell in South Carolina. My customer bought the boat at a good price because of the unknown engine condition, and he brought it to me and said, fix the engine, make sure it's running good, but save it if you can, but don't take any shortcuts, and make sure it's good and well, it runs very well. So the first when I first took the heads off, the inside bores of the cylinders looked fairly decent. I mean, obviously had mud in it. You can see all this silt from the Lake Hartwell, all this silt on the side of the block here, and so the cylinders themselves had some of this mud in there. And let me show you some of these pistons over here. So the tops of these pistons, you see the silt from the. So you can see all that silt was in. I'd say half the cylinders had these silt covered pistons. There's another one there, a few more over there. So anyway, the bottom line is the bores look good, and I felt like I could clean those bores, but I wanted to take a look at the bearings too before I decided to just clean it up and put it back together and run it. So I went ahead and took the oil pan off, and what came out was kind of a, it wasn't too bad, but it was some water, about probably a 30% mix of water and oil. Most 30% water, 70% oil. Had a consistency of like turkey gravy, Thanksgiving gravy, but or the color of Thanksgiving gravy, not the consistency. But just my instincts told me I need to go further and go ahead and take the thing apart and find out if there's any other damage, and I'm glad I did. So what I found out when I got these pistons out is, I'd say on about half of them, the rings are seized. These rings have been seized in the groove, and they will not move around. I tried to move them with my fingers, and I can't get them loosened up. The oil ring is okay, but the second compression ring is stuck in there, and it won't move around. And some of the top rings are stuck too. If the rings are stuck, they won't flex out and make compression. I don't remember how many exactly, but I think there's 3 pistons I felt like the rings, or found that the rings are stuck. Also, I wanted to show you the worst piston. The bearings are all in fairly decent shape. Let me show you what the good ones look like. So you can see that bearing in there. It's not too bad. A little bit of I think it's a little bit of a score on that one, but these are King aluminum bearings. They're not too bad. I'd say probably 5 of these pistons, the bearings are okay. It's reusable. And there's a special thing I want to show you about the bearings in a second. But let me go and show you this worst piston over here, or worst rod bearing. So this is the worst bearing. It's got pretty significant scoring. I can feel that with my fingernail. There and there. And this was on, that particular rod was running on that journal right there, or this one right here. That's number 3. So this particular journal, you can see the rest of them aren't discolored like that. Matter of fact, the rest of the journal, these journals are great. Except there's discoloration here, and that's where the rod bearing had been scored, and I feel a little bit of score right there. I'm going to try to polish this out. I can hand polish this this journal here, maybe save it without having to take the crank and have it machined, but we'll see how that works out. By the way, this is a Jasper engine. This engine had not been rebuilt not too long ago. It's a fresh rebuild. Unfortunately, one of the owners let it get submerged in mud in Lake Hartwell. But this Jasper engine so far is in decent shape. One thing I don't like about it, these pistons are Chinese pistons. They're called Engine Tech. Trying to look for it. There's that J350C. That's a classic indication. It doesn't say China on anywhere, but I'm familiar with these pistons, and they're basically Engine Tech, very cheap manufactured pistons. They're 040, you can see that 040, so these are 40 thousandths oversized already. So this block doesn't have any room to grow other than to go to 60. So I'm, like I say, but I think the bore's okay. I'll check them and put it back together with 40 pistons. Right now, if I can get these rings out of these pistons and save the pistons, I will. I don't like the pistons, but they're in decent shape, so we'll try to reuse them. And just put, since I'm in here, I might as well put a new set of new rings, $25. So it would be stupid not to put a brand new set of rings in all these pistons. And also I'm going to replace the bearings too. Like I say, most of the bearings are good, but these are aluminum bearings. I don't like to use aluminum bearings. They're called bimetal. I like to use tri-metal bearings, and gonna go back to tri-metal bearings. So let me show you something special about these bearings that you may not be aware of, and it's something you need to know about. So let me, I'm gonna stop the camera and prepare a bearing and show it to you. So continuing with this tear down of this Jasper engine, I wanted to show you what I found inside. So this is the one of the rod bearings, and you see it, that symbol up there means a King bearing. A company called King makes these. That 020 right there means this bearing is 20 thousandths under. So that means this journal has been turned down 20 thousandths smaller than the factory size. That's what that means. But there's another number on here you need to pay attention to, and it's this right here. It says OD .002. So what that means is that the rods, so a lot of times rods can get out of round. This end of the rod can get out of round. And so what they do is they hone out the end of this rod. They remove the bolts and they take a little bit of metal off of this surface here and right there, just a little bit of metal. And then they re-hone the rod 2 thousandths over, or 2 thousandths larger diameter than what it was before. And what that means is that you have to buy, now you buy a rod bearing that's 2 thousandths over so that it fits in that new oversized rod. And they do that to make the rod true again, to make it round again, and to save the rods. Sometimes rods can get out of round from use, and so that's what they do to save the rods. So that means all these bearings, all those rods there, need the bearings that are 002 oversized and 20 thousandths undersized. So I'm hoping I can find those in a tri-metal bearing. I'm not sure if I can, so I'll have to start looking. But the point of this video is that, or point of this tip is that when you say your machinist says, hey, I turn your crank 20 under, and then you go buy bearings for 20 under thinking that'll fit, well, that's not necessarily true. You've now bought bearings that won't fit because they're 2 thousandths smaller on the OD to fit inside the rod. So when you buy your rod bearings, you need to buy both for the rod and for the crankshaft, and that's important to know. Let's see what I was going to say. On this is like I said, this is a Jasper rebuild. So far this one hasn't been too bad. They use aluminum bearings. I'm not too fond of them, but the factory, General Motors factory, uses aluminum bearings on the LS motor, so I guess they're okay. But here's another thing. So this is a timing set, and this is not a roller chain. This is if you notice on all my rebuilds, I'll use the heavy duty factory marine roller chain timing set. And I build all the engines, all my marine engines I built with that. This is a cheaper automotive set. It's more like a toothed chain and a toothed gear system. You see there's a lot of play in it already. I don't know if it was put together that way or if it's just been worn out a little bit, and that's why it's, well, can't tell, yeah. So anyway, it's got some play in it. You see some gaps in there. So these teeth, these chain teeth ride right up on top of these other teeth. They don't ride down on this I don't ride down on this gear here. But I don't use these type. These are known as the less expensive gear sets. They're noisy too. They make a lot of noise, and so I don't use them. Every genuine marine engine I've taken apart that was a genuine Mercruiser did not use this set. They use the heavy duty roller sets that I've shown in my other videos, and so that's what I go back with. So I'm going to take this timing set off, and the last thing to remove out of this block is the camshaft and the crankshaft. I'm going to take the camshaft out and see if it's marine, if it's Mercruiser brand, or if it's the Mercruiser grind, or if it's a marine grind. I'd be willing to bet somebody money now that it's not a marine cam, that it's just a factory truck cam. This engine's a Vortec block, and it's not. It's not the Vortec block. Let me check. Yeah, it is. 088 is the Vortec block, but it's got, I should have known that because the front timing cover was plastic. This front timing cover here was plastic, so that's the Vortec blocks. But the heads were not Vortec heads, so they use the older non-Vortec heads on this engine. But I'm lost my train of thought. What I was going to say about this. So the camshaft for a truck, for a Vortec truck, is the L31, is the designation L31, and I'm pretty sure that I would be willing to bet this camshaft is an L31 cam. I have a used one in my shop, and I'll go check and see if it has the same part number. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. So that's about it. I'll post in the description of this video what the cam was and see if I was right or not. But this concludes the video. You see it's all rusted in the back there. I'm going to clean that up. But like I said, this engine was submerged in silt in Lake Hartwell, South Carolina. So I'm trying to restore it and get it back to running condition. In conclusion, in my guess, it would not have run well because the rings had seized and probably wouldn't have made compression in those cylinders. So this engine definitely needed to be torn down and at the very least, new rings put on it, and now new bearings. So and then we'll see how the camshaft turns out and see what it looks like. So thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel if you find them useful, and watch for the next video.